Now to a wonderful segment here we call Healthy Innovations, and it highlights people who do some unique things or raise awareness of some unique things. And one of the people that we've had a chance to get to know a little bit is Megan Gerhardt. Tell us who you are and what you do at Miami.
I am a professor of leadership at Miami University in the Farmer School. I'm also a generational strategist, consultant, and author. I wrote a book called Gentelligence, all about making generational differences an opportunity rather than a frustration at work.
So how did that come about?
Well, when I started at Miami, I was pretty young. I was about 26, and that meant I had colleagues who were up to maybe 40 years older than me at that time, and I was teaching students who were maybe only 5 years younger, which could be awkward, but I actually ended up finding a great opportunity in it. I really was fascinated in how my students' views on work and career were shifting, even in that small period of time from when I had been in their shoes, and realized that trying to get curious and understand where those perspectives came from, and also the perspective of my older colleagues, was such an opportunity for learning. And so I've done a lot of work and research about how we can be leveraging that as a wonderful source of innovation, change, productivity, help engage people across their careers and lifespan at work. So just become a really big passion for me personally and professionally.
So it's so interesting because I think of you as like a bridging the gap person. And so I've read some of your work, and most recently at Miami, you wrote an article for something called The Conversation about loneliness and isolation. And I found that when you were looking at different generations, that was fascinating. So tell me a little bit about that. We have just some video of Miami if you're not familiar with the campus there.
Sure. So, you know, post-COVID, of course, we all know that there was a great deal of isolation. And coming out of that, with the switch to remote work, hybrid work, just seeing that people are not as connected as they once were, whatever that might mean to people. And so thinking about where might we find potential to improve this phenomenon or this issue that we have, and intergenerational interactions, particularly in the workplace, are one of those untapped resources. So we don't tend to be very well connected or know people with significant age gaps from us in the workplace. We have sort of an age polarization. We move through companies with people around our age as we get jobs together, we get promoted together, and that means it really takes some proactive effort to reach out to people either significantly older or younger, to do meaningful work, to get to know them personally. And when that happens, we see all of these amazing benefits that maybe we don't take advantage of as we should. So friendships. So I have really wonderful friends who are 68 and 28, and I'm 48. So those are people at different life stages than you. So there's advice, there's mentorship, both, you know, from the younger to older and older to younger. There's perspective, there's all kinds of different knowledge and expertise. So I help companies set up things like mutual mentoring programs where people get an opportunity to talk about even issues happening around them and get different perspectives. And so being able to really find different kinds of connections that can help us really combat isolation, find new ways to connect and reach out to people that maybe we hadn't previously thought of as a resource is something that I think is really an amazing opportunity.
So I thought it was interesting that we have a graphic that you said that the younger generation, I'm not sure where you've put that category, but they were a lot less engaged at work. Like it used to be work was your whole life.
Correct.
You know, there's a certain generation, that's what you did. And now they're like, nah, not my thing. But then that's led to other loneliness and isolation feelings.
Yes, so there's some research that came out from Gallup recently about our engagement levels at work are at a 10-year low, and that was specifically hitting people in Generation Z the hardest. So that would be our young people. Technically, it's 13 to 28, but they were specifically looking at adult Gen Zs in the workplace. And a lot of that is, these are people who maybe started their careers during the pandemic or shortly thereafter. They potentially have never known a work life where they are going into an office every day, meeting coworkers for coffee, grabbing lunch, really getting to know people on a personal basis. A lot of those interactions are happening across a screen, and we know there's benefits to that. There's all kinds of, you know, we all want flexibility. But when you're in that stage of life, you are trying trying to form personal networks, professional networks, you're trying to learn your job, make a good impression on your boss. Those things are really hard to do remotely, and we're finding that maybe we didn't think about that in the beginning of the pandemic and the post-pandemic work era. And now we're starting to realize that that's leading to lower levels of engagement, commitment, and just things that maybe we need to pay a little closer attention to. I think there's a big myth that our younger generations don't want to be in an office, and I work with amazing Gen Zs every day up at Miami, and that is not what we're seeing. They want flexibility, but they want to be in an office where they can learn from people, make those connections, and so I think that's a really important avenue for us to pursue.
That is a very striking point that you just made, because flexibility, like I got to be here some, and that can be, you know, very negotiable. But that's so interesting. Well, you wrote this article. We will make sure we put a link to it at what'shappeninginhealth.com, and continue to follow this conversation because it's fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the work you do.